And now your Idaho Real Estate News.
In today's market, how can you get your buyer's offer accepted when you are competing against so many others? This is Mike Johnston, contributing editor for Idaho Real Estate News. This week, we will discuss ways to possibly get your buyer's offer accepted when they are competing against so many other buyers on the same property. Lately, I've received phone calls from disgruntled buyers, as well as from licensees telling me that they don't think their offer was presented because they had a great offer, above full price. Why wasn't it accepted? Some buyers feel that they need a different agent because the agent they are working with is not getting their offer accepted. Agents are coming up with creative ideas in attempts to get their sellers to accept the offer over all others, using love letters, acceleration clauses, paying the difference if it does not appraise, etc. Let's step back for a minute. What is it that you think the sellers really want in this transaction? I would think that it comes down to these things. 1, a good price. 2, not having so many contingencies, giving the buyer a way to back out. And 3, knowing that the transaction will really close and that they will not need to put the property back on the market. Let's discuss those. First, a good price. I think that in today's market, sellers are often receiving offers above asking price. Whether or not they appraise for that is a different topic. Agents that have not been active in the real estate business for the past while are doing a disservice to their sellers. They need to assist them in negotiating a much better price and paying little to no closing costs. I have seen some offers where the seller actually could have netted a lot more, but in my opinion, the agent they hired was not up to speed with today's market. They were still reacting and counseling under a different market, which may harm the seller. So overall, I think this concern is covered. The second, not having so many contingencies, giving the buyer a way to back out of the transaction. What are the typical contingencies in an Idaho real estate contract? Let us review the RE-21 from the Idaho Association of Realtors. This form is the real estate purchase and sale agreement. Contingencies. This list may be a long list, but I think it's important to mention them all. Here we go, starting with number 1, paragraph 2, line 16. This offer is contingent upon the sale, refinance, and/or closing of another property. Yes or no? Number 2, paragraph 3B, lines 25 through 28. All cash offer? Yes or no? Buyer to provide seller within blank business days, written confirmation of sufficient funds and/or proceeds necessary to close the transaction. Bank or financial statements. 3, paragraph 3C, line 30. Cash proceeds from another sale? Yes or no? 4, paragraph 3D, new loan proceeds. This agreement is contingent upon the buyer obtaining the following financing, type of loan under certain interest rate, etc. Number 5, paragraph 3D, loan application. Buyer has or shall apply for such loans. Number 6, buyer agrees to furnish the seller with a written confirmation showing lender approval of credit report, income verification, debt ratios, and evidence of sufficient funds and/or proceeds necessary to close, subject only to satisfactory appraisal and final lender underwriting. Number 7, satisfactory appraisal. The property must appraise at not less than the purchase price. 8, final lender underwriting. 9, any repairs or items asked for by the appraiser. 10, paragraph 4, other terms and conditions which must be satisfied prior to closing. 11, paragraph 5, items included and excluded in this sale. They must be free of liens and are in as-is condition. 12, buyer to satisfy himself or herself that the condition of the included items is acceptable. 13, paragraph 7, water rights. 14, Paragraph 8, title conveyance. Seller to provide marketable and insurable title. 15, paragraph 9, title insurance. Buyer has blank business days of receipt of the preliminary title report and CC&Rs to object in writing to the condition of the title. Seller then has blank business days to get it marketable. 16, paragraph 9B, title company. Come to an agreement as to where the closing will take place. 17, paragraph 10, inspection. Buyer chooses to have an inspection, yes or no, to be done within blank business days. This is the primary inspection. 18, seller to have all utilities turned on within blank days of acceptance. 19, paragraph 10A, line 158, short sell contingencies. Not start the clock on inspections. 20, paragraph 10B1, primary inspection. Buyers have blank business days to inspect and to provide seller with written notice of disapproved of items or conditions or written notice of termination. 21, paragraph 10B2, secondary inspection. Buyers have blank business days to inspect several other items or concerns: well water potability, well water productivity, the septic inspection, septic pumping, survey, other inspections. 22, paragraph 10C, 1 through 4. Seller and buyer may come to an agreement for the items found unacceptable. 23, paragraph 11, lead paint disclosure. Buyer can test the property for themselves for lead. Buyer may cancel if the results come back with unacceptable amounts of lead. Seller could correct the problem by closing. 24, paragraph 13, square footage verification. Buyer to verify during inspection time frame. 25, paragraph 14, seller's property condition disclosure form. Seller to provide the form within 10 calendar days of acceptance. Buyer has 3 business days from receipt of the disclosure to rescind the purchase and sell agreement. 26, paragraph 15, subdivision homeowners association. Buyer may need to apply for membership in the homeowners association and abide by its rules and regulations. 27, paragraph 20, walkthroughs. The first walkthrough contingency is to satisfy the buyer that any repairs agreed to in writing have been completed. The second walkthrough is to satisfy the buyer that the property is in substantially the same condition as on the day the offer was made. Seller may be obligated to correct or rectify the situation if it is not. 28, paragraph 3, mechanics liens. If the sellers had any work done to the property, then possibly lien waivers would be needed. 29, paragraph 39, assignment. Many sellers are concerned that the contract may be assigned and they would know nothing about the creditworthiness of the new buyer. 30, paragraph 42, authority of signatory. Make sure to provide the documents needed to prove that the signer can actually sign. And this list can go on. That's just 30. With at least that many contingencies, as well as possible ones in reviewing the RE10, rental agreements, the like, there's a possibility that the buyers may not close on the property due to any one of the contingencies currently found in the contract. The third thing to have noted would be knowing that the transaction will actually close and not have to put the property back on the market. That's a big concern for the sellers. I recently spoke to an agent who was assisting their seller understand the differences between the multiple offers that they had received. The offers varied in price as well as the type of financing. One offer was even cash. The sellers voiced their concerns that they felt that the property might not appraise for the $20,000 to $30,000 with the offers over the asking price. They didn't want to accept an unrealistic offer just to end up having to put the property back on the market and not being able to close on time with their replacement property. Sellers want to make sure that whatever offer they accept, that it will close on time, affording them less stress in the purchase of their replacement property. I'm sure there's other concerns as well, but these are probably the big 3. Instead of competing with price and some exotic new real estate clauses meant to make the seller feel good about the offer, why not eliminate some of the contingencies in order to not have the buyer back out of the transaction? How, you might think? Look at that list of possible contingencies. What could be done now to have the contingencies met or even removed at the time the offer is presented. The big one is financing. Make sure the buyer has done their part with the lender to make sure that the only concern for them, the lender, would be a satisfactory appraisal and final lender underwriting. Provide the acceptable letter at the time the offer is presented. Having to sell another property? Has the buyer done their part and put it on the market? Do they have an accepted offer? And is it with few contingencies? You can see how this list can be minimized just by thinking ahead and getting them done. The big part of getting your offer accepted is knowing what the seller wants. What are the non-negotiable items? When does the seller want to close, if they're closing on another property? Which title company is the other closing taking place? Specifics on what is included and excluded. How do they feel about X as a lender? Any repairs they are planning or needing to do? Have they had a recent home inspection done? How can you answer these questions? Call the listing agent. Not a text, not an email, not just a voicemail. Call and actually talk to them. Build a rapport and let them know who you are and how it is to work with you. It would be sad if you never responded to your messages from other agents, or that you are hard to work with, or that you have a reputation that it is your way or no way. Believe it or not, your reputation, whether good or bad, is out there. Now is when your previous acts may come back to help you or to haunt you. But that is a different topic for a different day. In your conversation with the listing agent, they say that they have an offer on another property and it is scheduled to close with ABC Title Company on April 26th. Their daughter wants to take the basketball hoop in the driveway, and the shelves in the garage are movable and they plan to take them, even though some people might think they're attached and should be included. After that discussion, you talk with your buyers and see if they are willing to close at ABC Title Company. And if the 26th of April is an okay date to close. They are fine with excluding the basketball hoop and the shelves in the garage. That said, they, the seller, will not need to counter your offer to address those concerns. You can write your offer already agreeing to things that the seller will find beneficial to them. So instead of trying to find creative ways to get your buyer's offer accepted, see what you and your buyers can do to help the sellers get what they want. With that in mind, it can be a win for both of them. This has been another segment of Idaho Real Estate News. If you found this article useful, please share it with others. Subscribe by adding us to your Alexa Flash briefing, or by sending us an email to Johnston, Johnston, at micro, mykro.com. We have a website with all of our past topics that have been discussed. Visit the website IREN.news for more information. There you can also submit topics you would like us to cover. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel for more insights on forms and other real estate topics. For Idaho Real Estate News, I'm Mike Johnston.
Idaho Real Estate News is updated weekly.